This is the presentation for the end-to-end automation. Here we are presenting a solution for, so we have currently two separate sets of automation that we do. We are already using them in the current FRB environments. So the first stream of automation that we generally use is the UI automation frameworks. We have been doing that for over generations. There have been some generations of Java, Selenium frameworks. Then we did some automation on UFT. Uh, then we have also done a version of that on Perfecto. Most of them are Selenium or UFT based. Similarly, there are chain of frameworks that we use for API automation. That also started quite early, and we had JMeter based frameworks, then SOAP UI and Postman based frameworks. Recently enough, we also have done Cucumber, Chai, Mocha based frameworks integrated within the code for unit testing. All of these work pretty well in terms of doing their own jobs. So with that, we'll get into what happens with these frameworks now. So what we have noticed that uh, when we are using just the UI frameworks, the data that we use gets stale very frequently because we are using hybrid frameworks driven through Excels. We put in test data within the Excel, and obviously the values that we get back from the backend keep on changing, so that data gets stale very frequently. Secondly, the testing is focused on the forms and not the data. So the functionality of that is not interactive enough. Thirdly, the validations that we do, right, they are static in nature because obviously we are picking values from the Excel that needs to be constantly updated and changed from the backend so that it becomes relevant. Even so, it takes a lot of manual efforts and challenges to keep on updating that data and test data sheet every time that we run the automation to be able to keep up to the pace of the data changes that's happening. And it's a lot of maintenance and manual labor that takes to actually keep that updated every time that we run the regression suits. So with that, now what we have done is basically brought those two worlds into a single framework solution. Obviously, what we get out of this is dynamic assertions, which basically means that the value that you see on the screen can be dynamically compared against real-time calls from the APIs. Secondly, we are actually able to use application test scenarios and test cases. Earlier, there was a bunch of test cases that was being created for just the API tests, and then a similar bunch was getting created for the UI tests. So obviously, there's a duplication of effort. Plus, there we had uh, encountered defect leakages because the API tests and the UI tests were not exactly the same. There were lots of edge case scenarios that was missed out on the UI tests that which was not tested in the API test, excuse me. Thirdly, we feel that just because the API testing can also work as a standalone framework in itself in the integrated suite, it can also be used as a health check call just before the automations are run, which also helps in saving a lot of efforts because then, at times when you're running the automation and the backends is down, you say false positives and false regression runs, which can be avoided. We already talked about live API responses. Obviously, that is a great value add because now we are actually integrating with the backend data sets. The code maintenance becomes lower because because you're getting live value, right? Like I said, data sets that you have to go and update every time on the data Excel-based databases and or the test data environments are lesser, and so you get a lot of benefit out of that. So with that, we'll get into a little bit of architecture of what we have done. On the right-hand side, we have the current Selenium-based architecture. Um, it is standard way of what we do currently. There are, test suites which then work with the Selenium automation framework engine, and then we also have been able to extend those engines with a device provider called Perfecto, which can then extend that to mobile automation as well. On the left-hand side, we have the architecture. The biggest change here is that we have plugged in a tool called Rest Assured in the Selenium framework, which is able to actually make backend API calls directly from the automation suites and then fetch a response and within the suite itself. And we have created cache within the framework to be able to retain that data set and then compare against the object library and the values from the UI. With that, we will get on to the actual demo. Here, I will request Ajay Mishra from the deposits team, who will be able to showcase the demo actually live here. I will be using the DCO application. Over to you, Ajay.
Thanks, Nitish. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. So I'm going to present my demo today. So before, let me share my screen. Okay. So basically, I mean, as Diptesh explained, like we are going to have like UI and API integration testing. So this is going to be like we have Selenium framework, we have REST assured framework, we are integrating, and we are also like, I mean, we are integrating with the database. So that means, I mean, it is going to give us end-to-end solution. That means, I mean, UI response will be validated. I mean, we are capturing data from the UI, which will be getting validated with the API response. API response will be validated with the database, basically. So let me give you one example on the this DCO application. Basically, DCO is nothing but deposit client onboarding application, and we are going to show you search request. So I'll be showing you two scenario. One is search request, which is going to be from UI to database end-to-end testing, and another one is negative scenario where banker is trying to open new accounts, and he will be entering like some wrong tax ID and getting blocked with the next workflow. So let me click on search requests. I will be selecting type account, and I will be entering account number, presenter. So I will click on this account link. So if left hand side, you can see I have account information. So in my script, basically we are going to capture this account information, and then that account number we will be going to pass to API, and then API will be basically, I mean, token will be generated, API will be triggered, we will get response. After getting response from API, we will validate UI and API response, and then API and database. So basically what we are doing here. Okay. So let me take you on the some application.properties file. So basically we are storing some dynamic variables here. So I mean, basically this is going to be our link. So this is our flight path link. We are going to use Chrome, and then this is our we'll be generating our auth code. We will have like get account attribute service, which is going to be triggered after this, and then this data is we will be this API, basically it will be searching data in Oracle database MDM. So this is np2 environment, and we are going to use just non-PII data. And after that, basically this is our properties file, and then our feature file. Feature is like we have going to define like given when then. So I mean, it will be like logging into the application, going to the, I mean, uh, hitting endpoint, getting response, and then second scenario will be negative scenario. And this data basically will be getting from the our test data. So today actually we are using that test data from the Excel. So it will be fast and all, because I mean, we are just taking some example on that. So this is our demo. And then, okay, and one more thing I want to add. So basically, this is our step definition account summary uh, class, the Java class. So here we will be just, I'm showing this, this is our precondition, and this is our condition which is satisfying, and we are getting a result here. So this is basically, one is compare UI with API response and compare API with database response. And like, all the details like DB validation part and everything are here. So let me show you exactly data from where we are getting this data. So I have saved this data, our test data here. So we have test user, then we have account input, all accounts, and then will be taken from the individuals, that is for the negative scenario. Okay. Let me log out from the application. Okay, so I'm going to run a script. The script started, it's going to launch browser. This is our Chrome browser is launching. It will go with the login script. So basically, logged in. Click on search requests, then it will click on type account, enter account number. Yes, click on account link. Now we will be capturing info from the left hand side.
So before we go into the demo,
Hi, was there a question about the demo? We can take it on the chat and we can come back in the Q&A section if that's okay.
So now we have captured UI information, pass our control to API, getting data, and then we'll go for the second scenario, which is our negative scenario. It is just on the
John? John? Papa, John, please.
So basically, we are going to new account tab, and then we are entering some 10-digit tax ID, which is not acceptable. So it won't allow banker to go further with the new account opening. Validation done. Now report is generated. So we are getting this report. Basically, for reporting, we are using extend report. So we have two scenario here, and high level, it's like 13 total test cases, which is two, and then 8 test cases which we validated, and it is passed, and there are 32 total steps. And this will give you like total time taken, start time, and end time. Also, it will give you information about the user who is running this script. So that means user name, user ID, basically, you can publish name as well. So operating system, Java version, host name. So host name is basically, whatever like VDI name we are working on. And this is our detailed report where we can see test cases and test steps executed. So first test case is launch browser and log into the application. It will launch this site, and then it will enter user ID and password. It will sign in, then it will go for the to go and hit search request button. Then it will go for the searching account. So it will enter account from the, so account it is taking from the our test data. Wherever we are using test data, basically we can use from the database, we can use from the Excel, whatever. I mean, that's the up to the team or up to the project. And then we are going to like check the, I mean, we have captured this detail here. Basically, these are the UI detail, which is captured. And then hitting endpoint, get account attribute API. We are getting this response. This is our API response. So all the details, whatever the response is coming, we are storing here. Then UI and API data validation. Basically, here we are what we are doing, whatever data we have captured from the DCU application. So basically, we are validating three values, which is branch code, product code, and account number. So it's validated, passed, because all are matching, and then we are going for the database validation. So database validation also, I mean, API response, we got branch code, product code, account number, and same thing we are getting from the database. So this is also passed. Let's go to second scenario. Second scenario is basically, I mean, that is negative scenario. So total 4 test cases and 18 steps we passed. Here, same thing, like I mean, this is same, and then account opening tab and entering data like name and all. This is the wrong tax ID, like 10-digit tax ID, and which is not acceptable, and this banker should not be allowed to proceed further. I want to add one more point here. So basically, I mean, we have divided this framework in 2 layers. Basically, one is framework layer and one is project layer. So framework layer is where we are just putting all the utilities. So all the utilities means we are having like rest assured, Selenium. Then we are having all database, DB connectivity like Oracle, SQL Server. Then we are taking Excel and PDF as well. And all the global whatever configuration level is needed. And at the project level, basically we are giving project level configuration part, which is like for example, I have shown you properties file, application.properties file. So where I'm in this regarding the related to our application and related to that particular project. So that means I'm in the and we have to write just a script, test a script to execute. So that means I mean everything is maintained in one place, that is called framework layer, and only test users, I mean, or testers has to write that script to execute the test cases. So now I'm handing over to Diptesh. Diptesh, over to you. You are mute.
Yes, sorry. Thanks for sending it back, Ajay. Let me just get back to my screen share. So what I wanted to also show that we are not going to run the same demo again, but this has also been extended over to mobile solutions. So if you see the screenshots here quickly, the same framework is now working with Perfecto, which is a device provider from the clouds, and we can actually do that for, there's a sample of same solution run on
quality. So this is from across
Android.
the entire organization. So here with enCore static analysis is pretty high. We've got most of our triggers in place. Our testing could probably be a little bit better. We might want to think about doing some.
Okay. So we can also do this on Android and iOS devices. With that, we'll go back to our roadmap. What we are doing is we are improving this framework, step-by-step basis. Where the first step was the API UI integration. That is already done. The next step for this is going to be a CI/CD integration. After that, we plan to actually include BDD capabilities so that we can actually shift left a little bit more. And then finally, we are also planning to integrate this with Jira and X-Ray so that we can actually do end-to-end CI/CD. With that, we can go into the Q&A session, and I will open up the forum for question and answers. With first, Jairam, did we have any question and answers coming over from your chat session? And then we can open it up for other people to talk.
There is one question from the team, which
Okay.
is available in the chat. Yeah, I'm putting
do you want to call out what that is? I'll go to the chat.
Yeah, there's a question from Pranjali. The only changes we'll make to run the script is the XLS file data.
Okay.
Is it only
Ajay, you want to take that question?
Yeah, definitely, Diptesh. So, I mean, only changes we will make to run the script in the exit. Okay, so basically, yes. I mean, wherever we are maintaining our test data. So, if I'm understanding question correctly from the Pranjali, so it is like she want to understand exactly test data, how team is managing. So, yes, we will change our test data and little bit script accordingly. So, as per the application, yes, we can.
Okay. Do we have any other questions from the audience?
So, hi, this is Asif here. I have a question. So, Ajay, what all from technology we need for this framework?
Okay, so to use this is good question. Actually, we need basic understanding of Java. So basic understanding means a person should have OOPS concept cleared, and they should know little bit of Gherkin scripting on Cucumber and little test engine. So they can fully utilize this framework.
Yeah, and software perspective, you need an Eclipse environment on your VDI to run this, right? And the Selenium components, web drivers and stuff set up on your.
Yes. So setup perspective, yeah, that's correct, Pritesh.
Yeah.
Okay. We are using a tool called Rest Assured, which is also a plugin that you use in Selenium that can actually use the API implementation within Selenium. All right, thanks. Good question. Any other questions?
Thanks, Dipesh. Thanks, Ajay.
Dipesh, there is one more question from Kazani. What is the target date for Jira X-Ray integration?
We haven't timed it yet, but we think that towards later part, early Q2 or later part of Q2, we might be able to get into the portion of Jira X-Ray integration.
So Srini has question, can we run the automated scripts from Jira when we integrating CI? Yes, Srini. The plan is, roadmap is like that. We will be able to run when it is integration part is done. With that is our roadmap.
Okay. Yeah, thanks, Mihir, for the support.
Sure, this is great. I just had one question. I was in and out of the meeting, but how easy it is, right? So in my previous experience as well, Selenium is usually used for like basic regression. So how easy it is to update the scripts, right? Compared to manual testing, how easy that is for and to implement that.
So Mihir, I'll take that question. So the UI testing part is fully dependent on the UI and how frequently you are changing the UI. Our current implementation is a standard approach towards Selenium automation for the UI portions, where we basically take every page, break it down into objects and libraries for each of the elements that are available on that page layout, right? put some unique identifiers against each of them, and then try to validate the values that are there for those elements. And then that's what the change now is, that the elements are now being able to be instead of a static data coming from an Excel, we are able to actually compare against API. That's the biggest change. But the UI implementation for the Selenium hasn't changed yet. It's the same thing that we do. So it is susceptible to UI changes and frequent changes on the UI at the moment. However, if you stick around for the second demo that we have lined up, that actually is it's geared towards that kind of a solution. We have a scriptless automation bot that can actually be of more interest on those directions. This framework addresses only the current implementation that we have in FRB.
Okay.
So one question I can see from Pankaj: do we have integration with Outlook email? So Pankaj, actually we have utility ready for the email alerts. It's not implemented yet in this POC, but yes, we can send an email alert to Outlook mails.
There is another question from Edson. How difficult is to implement to a legacy project?
So Edson, which type of legacy project? I mean, so this is, let me clear a few points. So if we are using any UI based application, we are using any desktop application. So desktop application we are going to do, I mean, that is coming up very soon with the using Vinium. And if you are using any RESTful APIs, so any type of application we can automate from here.
Oh, yeah, I was asking just in general, just in case if you want to integrate or you want to integrate with a specific, I'm not sure, JavaScript application or something. Yeah, but I'm sorry for that. What is that?
Did I miss something in between?
So Edson, if I get your question right, if you're talking about legacy application, the approach towards automation here is from top down. So whatever UI that presents, be it legacy fat client application or a web application or a mobile web application.
Okay. Yeah, I was asking just in general. For example, currently the legacy application I refer for application that was created with PHP or things like that. That use a different kind of old practice for development. Yeah, for that reason I was asking this specific.
Yeah, that wouldn't matter as long as there is a UI that we can capture and break it down. It
okay.
As used to develop it.
Oh, got it. Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
All right. Any other questions?
Hi, Harish here. I have a question from a UI perspective. Like this is the hybrid framework, right? So just a question about like if you're automating UI part and if we are having a Spanish content to verify, does this framework handles the Spanish content verification?
No, unfortunately, language integration is not here. It is so the UI portions of verification is specific to whatever your test case is, right? The content validation options are not available here. However, if that UI content is coming through API call, and the API response is whatever the API response, right? If you are not validating within the response or the state of the response, right? Whatever the API will respond, this framework will be able to compare that the same response is coming on your UI, right? But it does not really have a linguistic capability to validate that the Spanish language is correct or not.
Okay. Yeah, I think so. Like
to add to you, the need, if the need is to do language or regional testing, we do have additional framework that can be added on to it to be able to achieve that.
Okay. Got it. Thank you.
All right. Thanks everybody for your insights and questions. Really good session. I hope you enjoyed the demo. We're going to take a short break now. we will restart the session at 3:45, right? Thanks, stick around, come back and join again, and we'll have an exciting demo again coming up, which will provide insights into scriptless automation. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Diptesh, we can stop the recording.
Today we have a very interesting demo organized for you. So Tenjin is the platform that we have built. It is focused towards a business analyst. We wanted to eliminate the entire hassle of invasive scripting and the challenges that brings. And what we have done is built a platform that is entirely codeless, in the sense that in order to run, build, and execute test cases, even in the face of the system under test changing or being modified, you do not require any scripts. The system comes app aware. There are a list of apps that we are already working with. There are other apps that we can bring into the fold. It has the ability to autocorrect, in the sense that if you add fields, if you add screens, if you add additional functionality which changes the user interface, it will rediscover this user interface on its own. And it has been proven at multiple banks to be a solution that can handle an enterprise class requirement from a testing mandate. It can work across applications, across a web-based application, a mobile app, native as well as hybrid, across iOS and Android. It can work with legacy thick client applications as well as REST and SOAP APIs. So the beauty of the platform is that you can start a transaction on one platform. You can start it on, for example, on a mobile app, and conclude the test case using an API, or on your legacy thick client applications. The application has a concept of bots. These are bots which are pre-built and available. These are the platforms where the bots are predetermined, pre-available, pre-qualified. It doesn't take a lot of effort for us to qualify another platform. And the beauty of that is, because of the auto-correction features, any changes, enhancements, improvements that you do on an ongoing basis are automatically discovered and retained by the platform. What this helps us do is drive down maintenance cost in the face of changes to a process. So if you have a business process change that does not require any scripts to incorporate, it is something that a business analyst can manage. If there is a user interface change, the bot can be triggered to rediscover and update itself on the user interface. If there is underlying data which changes, you could structure your data usage in such a way that you're going and picking up the latest value of data from the application. And obviously, if there is a change in the environment, again, it is very resilient to all of those changes. This helps us improve the ability to start and run automated testing faster, and refocuses on the skill sets required to build and maintain a test automation setup. These are some of our customers globally. You have Desjardins in Canada, who's just embarked on a major upgrade transformation with us. You have Barclays in international operations, where we are supporting them. SocGen for their China operations, we are supporting the entire automation of their core banking platform. Many of these are on the core transaction engine. uh, some of them also have it on the mobile app as well as on the APIs. Again, a lot of interesting use cases that we have been able to showcase to customers in terms of number of cases, the time taken, the ability to do multi-system testing. So if you want to start from a channel platform to a workflow, internal workflow, and culminate in a transaction system, all in the context of a single test case, that has been done quite a few times by us. Um, so what does Tenjin consist of? Tenjin consists of a test management platform, a test automation and execution platform, a defect management platform. The core is the test automation and execution platform, which can integrate upstream and downstream with things like Jira X-Ray or Jira QC, ALM. All of those integrations are available. We also are CI/CD ready, so we publish our own REST APIs through which you can invoke uh, an execution session or a learning session on the test automation platform using Jenkins, TeamCity, or any of that. We have a repository of about 500,000 cases specifically around financial services. We are also working towards enhancing the platform by bringing in a data generation engine for large complex platforms, not just for simple screens but for large complex platforms. We are also working on a test prediction engine which will take historic values of changes and test failures, and use that to predict what are a more optimized set of test cases that need to be run. So as I said, Tenjin is a two-part solution. There's a core and there's an application bot. And the core essentially looks at housekeeping and various functions like test management, access management, data management, execution and reporting, and the validation. We also have integration with, as I said, upstream with the ALM. We are building an integration with Jira X-Ray. Downstream, we have an integration with Jira QC and Bugzilla. How are we different in the sense that if you take a simple platform, let's say a core banking application, you generally have a series of menus on the left. You would have a work area on the right. In the scripting world, you have to write scripts to discover each of these work areas. With Engine, the bot is configured to discover the work areas and provide an Excel template automatically. And this can be done any number of times, and you could reuse templates. We have the ability, we provide you the tools to move data from one template to another. Once you fill in the data, you can feed it back to Tenjin and it will go and execute the test case, including any validations, runtime validations that you need to do. And this allows us to do a lot of innovative stuff in terms of speed. It allows us to reduce the need for any scripting skill sets on a project. It improves the turnaround time because it brings in a lot of resilience. It allows you to do runtime changes of your business process that you want to execute. You could run it across multiple platforms. As I said, we are CI/CD ready. From a demo perspective, just going to move to the product demo. What we're going to start off with is to show you how the UI discovery happens, how we are able to traverse an existing application UI, discover the elements and convert it into an Excel template. Post that, we will do a 3-stage execution on a core platform where we will create a client, open an account, and do a fund transfer. And in the fourth step, what we will do is We will validate some of those values from the accounting entry perspective. We will show you the reports. And if possible, we'll also show you integration with Jira. This is the platform. We move to the administrative section, which allows you to set up various projects, access controls for the testing team, the workstations, any mobile devices that are a part of the project, where you set up the business applications, the various instances. With that instance setup, you can set up the user roles, privileges, and when you come to the specific menu, you could set up the various menu items as a part of your application. In case there is a change, in case there's an update to a specific menu from a UI perspective, you could ask the platform to learn. And this is where I trigger the robotic learning, where I say, log in using the credentials of a checker, use a specific browser, and do it on a specific workstation. And when I trigger that, you would see on my screen, there's a Chrome window that opens. And it uses the login credentials to log into the platform. This is a core banking platform that we have access to. It will access the specific menu automatically. So there's nothing being done by me. It will traverse all the fields, all the screens. So you will see it move across. And it will do this recursively till it finds the end, it's finished all the links and screens on these on this menu, and it'll convert that into an Excel and come back. This at one swipe allows you to discover all the elements on the screen, all the fields, all the boxes, without having to worry about have you traversed, have you been there. So unlike a record and replay or unlike a script, this is significantly faster. So we have discovered about 500 fields in 32 pages in less than a minute. It gives you an Excel template to download. And if you see at the bottom, each of the tabs represents a screen within the application for that menu. And there is, if you see in each tab on the top, you have the fields that make up the application screen. You have a legend which says input, query, add, delete, verify. Input is where you want to give data entry. Query is where you want to retrieve a record from the database onto the screen. Add and delete is where you're adding or deleting records into a grid. And verify is where you're saying that this is the data that I need you to check if the application under test has the same, computes the same data. Let's go ahead and look at the test case. So this is the projects menu where you have test cases with steps, and the steps have 3 panels. There's an identification, instructions, and documentation. You can stitch together multiple cases to get a test step set. This could represent a business flow or a logical day execution plan that you want to execute. I will also show you the associated data with that. So this is the data sheet which is filled in. You don't need to fill in everything, only the sheets or things which are relevant. We give you a set of 15 keywords, which allows you to capture runtime values and do a few other activities. So here we are creating a client. We are capturing the client ID, and we're going to use it to open a checking account. And this is the notation for the checking account. To transfer the client ID from the client opening to the account opening screens. And here you have the fund transfer, where you're providing the account details, where you're also providing the validations that need to be done. So the validations could be static values, could be dynamically generated values. This could also be computed values. And now that we have some understanding of the data, I will run the test. Again, it asks you if you want to run it on this workstation, or if there's a virtual machine or a secondary workstation where you want to push this execution to. It gives you a choice of when you want to capture screenshots. It gives you a choice of which browser you want to do this on. And if this was a mobile app, it would also give you a choice of which mobile app you want to run the test on. So we'll run this. And you would see that Chrome's come up. We log in. We wait for the customer creation screen to get painted. And we start the data entry over here. It is geared to dynamically handle any number of pop-ups, warnings, overrides. It need not be predetermined. It can pace itself with the speed of the application. So if today you're finding the application a little bit faster, tomorrow you find it significantly slower, there's nothing that you need to do. It will automatically discover and keep pace with the application. It is also creating a test record. It's creating the proof of tests in terms of screenshots, in terms of the overall report, test report. It's now come to the fund transfer screen where it's funding the account. And it has whatever warnings have been thrown up, it's discovered, it's accepted those. And now it's doing the final validation of the accounting entry. So as I said, this is a system which is predominantly geared to be for a business analyst to set up and maintain and use, requiring no scripts, no programming knowledge at all. We've completed the test execution. We get a summary, we get a pie chart, we get a tabular output. We can jump into every test case. We get to see the test steps. On the test steps, we get the results, any warnings, errors, messages, any screenshots.
Now, we're here, you see? When we reach there, the steep gradient, the train slows down. We'll block the line, make for that main road, pick up a car, there. A truck.
So screenshots are available. And let's look at the validation where we had given the expected value and see how that compares. So this is the test case where we had given an expected value in the Excel. These are the actual values from the platform. And if there is a difference, then it marks it as fail. You also have a report which can get generated. This is a PDF report. Which summarizes the test run. And this you can send a mail with this, or if you're doing it through Jenkins, it can be configured to send a mail at the end of the process. That brings me to an end of my demo.
Srirang, a couple of questions. One
Sure.
was, how can we do or enable dual path testing using Tenjin, where UIs may be different to ensure regression compares achieve the same results, old versus new platform?
You do step 1 on the old platform, do step 2 on the, you pick up the expected values from platform 1. So you'll have two tests. You'll have one test case, one data extraction process. You'll run the same test case on the second platform, and you can validate against the output of the first one.
I think the question from Uma is, how long does it take to incorporate new bots?
New bots could take anywhere between 2 days, 2 to 3 days for a mobile app. And if you're talking of a completely new large enterprise class ERP, it could take us about 4 weeks.
That's all on the chat window. It's open for any questions the team may have. If not, I think thanks a lot, Srirang. And thank you all for attending the session. Diptesh, you're back on.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Sanjeev and Shreyang.
I think there's another question. What kind of applications are supported? We worked with web-based apps. We worked with thick clients, such as we've done an Oracle Forms. We have done Visual Basic based app. We have also worked with native and hybrid mobile apps. So any of these and any combination of these is okay.
Thanks, Sujit.
Okay, any other questions? We can still take questions on either chat, or if you want to call it out, we are open for that right now.
I remember from the previous session, there was a question on language. So we can support UI on different languages. If you're using a translation utility to populate screens with various languages, obviously we can give you the entire UI, and we can then compare the UI values. We can also use the same data values, test case values across different language-based screens to validate if the output is the same. That is something that we could do. We have multiple customers where we are doing multi-format testing, as in UI plus API plus mobile app. It's the same test case. It will go step 1, step 2, step 3 across different apps. We also have the ability to do, to work as a maker checker concept. So if you have a 4i principle implemented in your platform, you could do transaction entry through one user profile and log out, log back in, and validate using the checker or the second user profile. So these are things that are available.
Okay, I think there's one more question on the chat. Is there any software or prerequisite to use it?
So we work with a industry standard database, so we can work with either an Oracle or a MS SQL database on the database side. So this is a 3-tier architecture where you have database, app server. App server could be any J2E compliant app server.
Okay. Any other questions, folks? Okay.
Thank you.
There are no other questions. Thanks, everybody. It was a great experience. So the next for you are networking lounges. So there are multiple networking lounges available. If you go back to your lobby and through the networking lounge, people are encouraged to go and spend some time and have some fun on those lounges. There are also some other booths going on with their demos, so feel free to go over and check out some of the other demos that's going on. And once you're done, you can go and spend some time with us in the networking lounges. Thanks everybody for the participation.
Thank you, guys.